Empaths feel everything deeply. They pick up the moods, the energy, and the hidden pain of everyone around them. This sensitivity is a powerful gift, yet it can become a silent burden when an empath is hurt again and again. Each emotional wound leaves a mark, not only on the heart, but also on the mind and identity. Over time, something deep begins to change inside them. Their inner world slowly transforms. What once looked like pure softness slowly grows into wisdom, boundaries, and quiet strength. An empath naturally absorbs the emotions of the people near them. They do not just hear someone's pain, they feel it in their own body. When someone is upset, angry, or struggling, the empath's mind and heart react almost instantly. Their chest grows heavy, their thoughts start racing, and they feel a strong push to help, comfort, or fix everything. In a healthy environment, this creates beautiful connections. But when an empath is hurt over and over, their emotional system enters a constant state of overload. Every painful moment adds another layer of weight. Because empaths reflect deeply, they replay conversations long after they end. They analyze every word, every tone, every tiny detail, always asking what they did wrong or what they could have done better. This habit slowly turns into mental exhaustion. The empath is not just dealing with the pain of the moment, but with all the emotional echoes that stay behind. Empaths rarely let emotions go quickly. Instead, they carry them quietly inside. When hurt keeps repeating, that burden grows heavier and heavier until the mind never truly rests. Even in silence, even alone, their thoughts keep moving through old conflicts, disappointments, and misunderstandings. This constant interactivity drains their energy in ways nobody else can see. The body feels it too. Many empaths deal with fatigue, tight muscles, headaches, and restless nights. Their nervous system stays on high alert because they are always waiting for the next emotional storm. Even small negative moments can trigger huge internal reactions because their emotional capacity is already stretched past its limit. There is another layer to this stage, and it hurts just as much. The empath tends to blame themselves. Because they are naturally introspective and caring, they take responsibility for emotional problems in relationships. Instead of spotting unhealthy behavior in others, they look inward first. They ask themselves if they were too sensitive, too demanding, or not understanding enough. This self-questioning makes the exhaustion worse because they keep trying to fix themselves just to keep the peace. And still they keep giving. They listen, comfort, encourage, and stay patient even when their own reserves are empty. This creates a deep inner conflict. Part of them is tired and overwhelmed, while another part feels guilty for even thinking about stepping back. Their compassion pushes them to keep pouring out, even when they desperately need space. Eventually, a quiet but powerful burnout settles in. The emotional generosity that once felt natural now feels heavy and draining. The empath may catch themselves pulling away from conversations, needing more time alone just to recover. A mind that once focused on understanding others begins searching for peace instead. And this is where the deeper shift starts. At first, they keep reacting the same way, trying harder, giving more patience, offering even greater understanding. They believe that if they just love more deeply or communicate more clearly, the relationship will get better. But when the same hurt keeps repeating, something inside them starts to question the whole dynamic. Their natural gift for reading emotions slowly turns inward. Instead of only watching other people's feelings, they begin noticing their own. They see how drained they feel after certain talks, how some people always leave them confused or unappreciated, and how their efforts to keep harmony are rarely returned with the same care. These small observations wake up a powerful self-awareness. It does not arrive all at once, it grows slowly through reflection and processing. The empath starts connecting past experiences and recognizing that many painful moments share the same pattern. They notice they are often the one apologizing first, the one making sacrifices, the one repairing the damage after every fight. Slowly, a clearer picture of their role in relationships takes shape. With deeper awareness comes a wave of mixed emotions. There is sadness as they realize how often their kindness was taken for granted. There is frustration as they see how many times they ignored their own needs just to keep others comfortable. Sometimes there is even anger, not only at others but at themselves for letting these patterns run so long. These feelings can be overwhelming, but they are a vital part of the transformation. The empath's perspective begins to shift in subtle but powerful ways. Instead of automatically taking the blame for every conflict, they start examining other people's behavior more carefully. They begin asking whether the relationship is balanced, whether their effort is respected, and whether their emotional energy is truly valued. These questions are a turning point. The empath also sees how their empathy shaped their choices. They may realize that their desire to understand others sometimes made them tolerate disrespect and manipulation. Because they could see the pain inside someone else, they ignored their own discomfort and kept handing out chances that were never earned. Recognizing this hurts, but it also sharpens their self-understanding. As awareness deepens, they build a stronger connection to their inner voice. They start listening to the quiet feelings they once ignored, the moments when something felt wrong, the soft signals of discomfort, the instinct that a situation was unhealthy. Instead of dismissing these signals, they treat them as important guidance. This is the beginning of a real inner awakening. Their emotional intelligence, once aimed entirely outward, begins expanding inward. They start learning not just how to understand people, but how to understand themselves, their limits, and their emotional needs. As this awareness grows, a quiet realization forms. Giving without limits has come at a deep personal cost. For much of their life, the empath may have believed that love meant endless patience, endless understanding, and endless availability. They let others lean on them at any hour, believing that being supportive meant never turning anyone away. But repeated emotional pain slowly changes that belief. The empath begins to understand that caring for others should never mean abandoning themselves. That realization becomes the foundation for emotional boundaries. At first, the idea of boundaries feels strange, even uncomfortable. Their natural instinct is to accommodate, to keep the peace, to avoid anything that might make someone feel rejected. So setting limits can feel cold or unkind, even when those limits are completely reasonable. Inside their mind, there is a real battle. One part of them still wants to respond with the same warmth and availability they always offered. Another part, worn down by the cycle of hurt, reminds them that their energy matters and that constant self-sacrifice is not sustainable. Over time, that second voice grows stronger. The empath starts noticing when their generosity is stretched too far. They see how some people only reach out when they need something, but rarely show up in return. They notice how certain conversations revolve around one person's problems, while their own struggles stay unheard. These realizations strengthen their determination to protect their emotional space. As boundaries form, the empath slowly changes how they respond to others. Instead of instantly solving every problem or absorbing every burden, they create space between themselves and the situation. They may take longer to reply to messages, decline conversations when they feel drained, or step away from conflicts that once pulled them in. These small decisions mark serious internal growth. Learning to say no becomes one of the most powerful shifts in this stage. For many empaths, the word no once felt almost impossible, because they feared disappointing people or creating tension. But as they practice emotional self-respect, they begin to see that saying no is not rejection, it is balance. It keeps their energy intact and protects the compassion that truly matters to them. This process also makes them more selective about where their emotional energy goes. Instead of spreading empathy everywhere, they direct it toward relationships that are supportive, respectful, and mutually caring. They start recognizing that real connections do not demand constant sacrifice. Healthy love flows in both directions. As these boundaries grow stronger, the empath feels a gradual shift in their emotional stability. Situations that once overwhelmed them no longer carry the same weight. They feel less pressure to manage everyone's feelings and more comfortable putting their own well-being first. Their compassion stays intact, but now it is supported by self-respect and emotional clarity. For the first time, the empath feels the difference between giving and draining, between loving and losing themselves. They learn that taking care of their own heart is not selfish. It is simply the only way to keep caring for anyone else without falling apart. After all that pain, Many empaths develop a quiet form of self-protection called emotional detachment. And here is where most empaths feel the shift the hardest. So stay with me. This does not happen overnight. It grows slowly as the empath realizes how deeply their emotions have been shaped by constantly absorbing other people's feelings, problems, and conflicts. Over time, their mind searches for a way to keep peace while still keeping their compassionate nature. In the past, they reacted instantly to every emotional signal. If someone was upset, they felt responsible for fixing it. If someone was angry, they felt the tension in their own body. If someone was struggling, they automatically stepped forward to carry part of that weight. That constant involvement once felt natural. But repeated hurt teaches them that responding so intensely to everything slowly drains their inner stability. As this understanding grows, they change the way they process interactions. Instead of instantly absorbing another person's feelings, they start observing them more carefully. They listen, but they do not immediately take charge of fixing everything. They recognize that some emotions belong to the other person and are not theirs to carry. This shift creates a small but meaningful distance between their inner world and the emotional chaos around them. This detachment is not coldness. The empath still understands pain deeply and still cares about others. What changes is how much of that emotion they allow inside. They start letting feelings pass by without fully swallowing them. Their reactions become calmer and more controlled. Situations that once triggered immediate responses are now met with reflection. Instead of drowning in someone else's anger or sadness, they pause, evaluate, and then respond. That pause creates breathing room and keeps them balanced even when everyone around them is not. There is another important shift in this stage, the growing acceptance that they cannot rescue everyone. Earlier in life, they may have believed that with enough patience, understanding, and support, they could help anyone overcome their struggles. But being hurt and taken for granted over and over reshapes that belief. The empath starts recognizing that every person must take responsibility for their own healing and behavior. This realization helps them step back from situations that once consumed their energy. They stop trying to mediate every conflict or solve every problem handed to them. Instead, they focus on their own stability. They learn that protecting inner peace lets them stay compassionate without becoming emotionally empty. Over time, this detachment builds resilience. Their empathy remains, but it is no longer uncontrolled or overwhelming. They can understand others while keeping a clear line between their own emotions and the emotions around them. As the empath keeps moving through cycles of pain and reflection, their compassion begins to evolve into something deeper and more refined. In early life, empathy meant giving freely and trusting openly. They believed that understanding someone's pain was enough to justify patience, forgiveness, and endless chances. Their compassion was sincere, but it was guided more by emotion than by clear understanding. Repeated hurt changes this. The empath still feels what others feel, but now their experiences teach them real lessons about human behavior. They start recognizing that not every expression of pain comes with good intentions. Some people want empathy without offering respect. Others lean on kindness while refusing to take responsibility for their own actions. These realizations slowly reshape how the empath gives their compassion. Inside their mind, empathy begins combining with awareness. Instead of instantly offering unlimited emotional support, they start watching patterns more carefully. They notice when apologies repeat without real change, when promises are made but never kept, or when vulnerability is used to excuse harmful behavior. Their ability to read emotions becomes sharper, letting them see both sincerity and manipulation with more clarity. This stage often brings a powerful shift in how they interpret people's actions. Earlier, they focused only on understanding why someone behaved badly. If a person acted harshly, the empath would search for the hidden pain behind it and offer compassion. That understanding still exists, but now it is balanced with a stronger awareness of personal responsibility. They realize that someone's struggles may explain their actions, but they do not justify repeated harm. Through these experiences, their emotional intelligence deepens. They learn to catch subtle signals in communication, small changes in tone, inconsistencies in behavior, emotional dynamics that once went unnoticed. Their mind becomes better at judging whether a relationship is healthy, balanced, and respectful. This insight helps them move through interactions with greater confidence. Their compassion also becomes more intentional. Instead of scattering their emotional energy everywhere, they aim it at people who genuinely value and respect it. They understand that empathy is not meant to flow endlessly without thought. True compassion thrives where it is appreciated and returned. Another change is their trust in their own instincts. Over time, they build a stronger bond with their intuition, which often warns them when something feels emotionally unsafe or dishonest. In the past, they ignored these signals to stay kind and understanding. Now, they treat those feelings as valuable guidance. This transformation lets them keep their caring nature while becoming wiser about where their emotional energy goes. Their kindness does not disappear, it becomes supported by insight, experience, and discernment. After moving through exhaustion, self-awareness, boundaries, detachment, and wisdom, the empath finally reaches a stage where a quiet but powerful inner strength emerges. And this next part changes everything. This strength is not loud or aggressive. It is calm, steady, and rooted in genuine self-knowledge. The empath, who once felt crushed by repeated pain, slowly becomes someone who understands their own value and emotional depth with real clarity. In the past, they leaned heavily on the approval of others. When a relationship grew tense or someone was upset with them, it created intense inner discomfort. They tried to restore peace quickly, apologizing even when they were not at fault, sacrificing their own needs just to hold the relationship together. Repeated hurt gradually changes this pattern. Through reflection and growth, the empath begins to realize that their worth does not depend on keeping everyone happy. That realization strengthens their sense of identity. They become more confident in their feelings, their decisions, and their boundaries. Instead of constantly wondering if they are too sensitive or too demanding, they start trusting their perceptions. When something feels wrong or disrespectful, they honor that feeling instead of pushing it away. This trust creates a stable foundation inside them. Another major shift comes in how they handle conflict and pressure. Emotional manipulation, guilt trips, and harsh criticism once cut deep. They spent long hours worrying about how others saw them, or trying to repair situations that were never their responsibility. As their inner strength grows, those tactics lose their power. The empath becomes less reactive because they have learned to see these behaviors clearly. Their communication changes too. Instead of endlessly explaining themselves or trying to convince others to understand their point of view, they express their boundaries directly and calmly. They no longer feel the need to justify every decision or prove their kindness through constant emotional labor. This shift often surprises the people around them because the empath's quiet strength replaces the nonstop accommodation that once defined them. At the same time, they develop a deeper appreciation for peace and emotional stability. They become selective about the environments and relationships they allow into their life. Situations that once felt normal, constant drama, emotional storms, one-sided friendships, now feel draining and unnecessary. Their focus shifts toward balance, authenticity, and meaningful connection. What makes this stage so powerful is that their core nature stays intact. They still care deeply, still understand emotions, still carry strong compassion,